I'm pretty sure that everyone is aware of Twilight at this point. You love it, you hate it, or you're somewhere in the middle. But because it's been quite polarising in the past, it has been taken the piss out of quite a bit over the years. For better or for worse, there is one Twilight parody that has been reviewed, but doesn't have quite the infamy or well-known buzz around it like other films of the same nature. The parody in question being The Last Vampire on Earth. Said film has one of the most unappealing descriptions on IMDb, by the way. A second-hand report of a man vomiting after eating chicken leads a preacher to believe a vampire is afoot. Luckily for the guy, his girlfriend has AIDS, which allows him to be spared. Kinda says it all, doesn't it? I mean, they're even taking the piss with that font on the poster. Anyways, I planned on reviewing this film months back, but couldn't find a copy of it, but recently found one on YouTube of all places. So yeah, I've decided to put myself through this. Will it be as bad as it sounds? Without further ado, on with the review.
Polos is life, 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 sleep all night and then Polos is life.
The film opens with some dramatic Bella's theme-esque piano music, while our protagonist Chloe waxes poetic about good and evil, and about how humans are probably actually just jelly of vampires. I can see that being true, definitely.
Generally, we can distinguish between the real and the fantasy. But what happens when that fantasy creeps into our reality? What if we start believing in the things that lurk in the night?
After some cheesy opening credits, Chloe sees her love interest, Aurelius, for the first time. Some guys say some really mean things to him as he walks into school, which is a stark contrast from our admired from afar Edward. By the way, this film is giving me some serious flashbacks to Wuthering High, which is a movie that I've been trying to forget since I reviewed it. Not a good sign.
Leave me alone!
In class, Aurelius and Chloe learn about Dracula, and their professor changes their class assignment to a stage production in an attempt to make it more engaging, although this seems to have the opposite effect.
As your last project of class, you're going to perform this.
The professor says that he will choose the parts randomly, but oh so conveniently chooses Aurelius to play Dracula, and Chloe to play Mina. The fact that they're learning about Dracula of all novels is bad enough as it is, to be honest. We're 10 minutes in and there is no sense of subtlety whatsoever in the film.
Sorry.
Yeah, as I was saying, no subtlety. As they share a lot of scenes together, Aurelius and Chloe exchange numbers so that they can meet up at some point, and Chloe goes to take a blood test after school.
How do you feel about having to play Dracula?
Well, he's not exactly your average person, so it's a bit challenging.
Who is he trying to convince? Us, Chloe, or himself? I don't think that he's succeeding in any case. At a coffee shop, Aurelius tells Chloe that he's majoring in hematology, which seems like an equally fitting and inappropriate job for a vampire. What if he gets caught stealing samples? On the other hand, Chloe explains that she wishes to become a missionary and that her father is a preacher. She invites Aurelius to a sermon given by her father, which is about love. Again, this movie doesn't seem to know anything about nuance, does it? I know that it's based on Twilight, but it doesn't need to be so in your face all the time with what it's trying to get across. Also, how is Aurelius even in church? Wouldn't he burst into flames? Or are we doing the sparkly thing again? He's walking in sunlight, so maybe they're ignoring vampires' weaknesses completely. Regardless, he gets into her dad's good books as he gets invited to dinner. At this dinner, Aurelius brings flowers for Chloe and her mum, and they discuss his major. They don't really approve of it as they don't believe in blood transfusions, but they have a pretty civil dialogue about it, which is nice. On his way home, Aurelius comes across a bloodmobile and offers its driver, Wayne, a hefty sum for some blood. Wayne accepts and brings the blood to Aurelius's house, but when he starts snooping around, Aurelius ushers him out. While the house is pretty creepy and empty, it is pretty rude to snoop, especially when you're only there on a business transaction.
What are you going to do with this blood anyway?
I'm doing a study on leeches and how different types of blood affect them.
Yeah, right, this is your lunch, admit it. The scene cuts to this Disney Channel movie scene where Chloe tells him that she wants to live in a happy, hateless world. And they go on another date where cheesy music plays in the background. This was probably super awkward to film, just saying. Aurelius tells Chloe that he is originally from Greece and isn't living with any family, and Chloe reluctantly accepts an invitation to his house to pick up some notes on vampires. Like Wayne, she snoops around Aurelius's house and finds the blood. Given his major, it's not that weird in my opinion, but regardless, Chloe reads the notes and comes to the conclusion that Aurelius is a vampire. They even directly quote the scene in the woods from Twilight.
But you're
Say it.
a vampire.
Yes.
I'd personally assume that this guy was just really eccentric and lonely, but this does beat Bella looking up stuff about vampires on the internet.
Did you see Jesus?
I heard him speak a couple of times. He was a great man.
Wait, so this guy met Jesus? They seriously made this canon? Wild. Sadly, Chloe gets the results of that blood test she took earlier, and she has AIDS. So, we have a Jehovah's Witness with AIDS, and a vampire studying hematology. Sounds like a perfect match! Our power couple do some more Twilight parodying, and he tells her about the Pegasus myth, I guess to link him back to Greece again? Chloe starts to look pretty terrible, and I'm not really sure how or that she should be attending school in that state. She invites Aurelius to dinner once again, and her parents ask Chloe about how she's doing. You mean, she didn't tell her parents that she has AIDS? I don't think that's too wise as she is living with them, and they clearly do care about her. After Chloe finds Aurelius throwing up from eating human food, her little brother Chad overhears their conversation. We see Aurelius's routine with some very lazily edited super speed effects during a ping pong match that he plays with himself. Like, really? Naturally fearful, Chad snitches to his parents, and Chloe's father confronts her. Naturally being a goody two-shoes, Chloe admits the truth, and her father forms a mob to kill Aurelius. Chloe finds the mob and Aurelius tied to a stake in the woods, and it turns out that she came strapped.
He wants to help find a cure for diseases like AIDS. Maybe that doesn't mean much to you, but it means a lot to people like me who have it. That's right, I have AIDS and it's advancing very quickly.
Some guy tries to burn Aurelius anyway, so she casually blows him away. Man, this girl doesn't fuck around. In private, Chloe explains to Aurelius that while on a mission in Africa, she saved an injured child when a clinic was being raided. However, some of the child's blood went into a small cut on her arm. This is incredibly dark, and I don't really want to think about deathly sick children, so this is the only time that I'm going to mention this in the video. Chloe inquires as to whether becoming a vampire would cure her disease.
In the sense of the word, yes. You would never be the same, but you would be immortal like me.
I would like it.
How long have you known this guy? The passage of time isn't very clear in this film, but you can assume it's only been a couple of months at most. It then cuts to the night of the school production of Dracula, and the movie ends with Aurelius biting Chloe on stage for real. I kind of like this ending. It's a nifty way to wrap everything up story-wise. But wouldn't people notice this? If they don't notice her transforming, depending on how it works in universe, surely someone would notice him actually biting her? Okay, I have really mixed feelings on this film. Apparently, this film had a budget of $250,000, and if that's true, I am really curious as to where all that money went. There are little to no effects used in this film, and the audio is pretty crap.
I'm doing a study on leeches and how different types of blood affect them.
Did it all go to the cameras and sets? We don't even see any blood on screen, and this is a vampire movie, for crying out loud. There's this weird vignette on the footage throughout, and I don't know if it was added post-production to be like the blue filter in Twilight, or if the camera lens was just dirty. The acting is pretty awful too, with scenes that you think would be emotional being full of flat delivery.
Do you see that right there? Those 4 stars there in a square form Pegasus' body. That line there is his neck and head, and those 2 lines over there is legs. He's actually in the sky upside down.
Along with the bad audio quality, a few of the actors, especially the one playing Chloe, just mumble through their lines.
Why didn't you call me? I was trying to cheer you up.
I didn't need you getting sick too.
The costuming is also super dated and confusing. What's with Aurelius's emo trim? Edward, at the very least, had a quiff. I think it's funny that one of the movie's subplots leading to the 2 protagonists meeting was a school production, because this movie does really come across like a film student's project that was rejected for obscene content. At its core, I think that the film's concept is pretty funny, but that its execution was very careless. As I've said before, just because a movie is supposed to be an ironic, low-budget flick, doesn't mean that it has to be complete trash. I'd still take this over Vampires Suck any day though. Well, that's all for this video. Be sure to follow me on social media as they are all linked in my description box. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.
The blue and green ones are my favorite kind, but I'll eat the colored ones from time to time. Cause Polos is life, 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 Polos is life. Sleep all night and then Polos is life.